প্রিয় দর্শক, আপনাদের সবাইকে প্রীতি এবং শুভেচ্ছা জানিয়ে শুরু করছি ইমিগ্রেশন ল। আমাদের এই নতুন আয়োজনের মাধ্যমে ইমিগ্রেশন তথা যারা বিদেশে স্পেশালি ইউএসএতে যেতে আগ্রহী তাদের নানা ধরনের প্রশ্নের উত্তর আমরা দেব এই আয়োজনের মাধ্যমে। ইমিগ্রেশন প্রসেসগুলো কি, বিভিন্ন ধরনের ভিসা প্রসেসিং কি কি ডকুমেন্টস লাগে, এছাড়া ফান্ডিং এর কেমন কি দরকার, প্রয়োজনীয় কাগজপত্র এবং নানা ধরনের ভিসা প্রসেসিং নিয়েই আলোচনা হবে আমাদের আয়োজনে। প্রত্যেক পর্বেই আমাদের সাথে থাকবেন একজন বিশেষজ্ঞ। আজকের আমাদের আয়োজনে অতিথি হিসেবে আমরা পেয়েছি অ্যাটর্নি মিস্টার দিল্লি রাজ ভট্টাকে। উনি নিউ ইয়র্ক থেকে সরাসরি যুক্ত হয়েছেন আমাদের সাথে। হ্যালো স্যার।
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Welcome to the show, and as you know, today we're going to discuss about different kind of immigration process and as well visa.
No problem. I'm happy to share my knowledge with RTP and your audience.
Thank you, sir. Shall we start?
Yes, please.
Okay. First of all, we're going to talk about extraordinary visa. So I want to know that who are eligible for applying extraordinary visa?
Okay, before I get to that question, let me give you some data. What's
Sure.
happening with the US immigration system. As you know, every time we have change in the government, policy changes. Republican, Democrats, they have different stands on where they lean on immigration. Some are a little liberal, some are not. So just looking at Bangladesh report alone, every year, more than 15,000 people are getting green cards. Different ways. EP-01 extraordinaries, family petitions, employment sponsorship, asylum
Student
seekers.
scholarship.
Correct. All these categories. And every year, about 10 plus thousands Bangladeshi nationals are becoming US citizens. I'm just looking at 2021 data in front of me, and it shows, except during COVID time, the people of Bangladesh coming to the US and becoming a permanent residence holder and permanent resident is green card holder and or converting it to citizenship has been increasing every year under different categories. So EB1 is one of the categories that some people can be qualified for. So I would be happy to talk more about it if you have other follow-up on this.
Sure. If I ask specifically, if I want to go to USA through an extraordinary visa, what should I do?
Okay. So there are several ways. For you, let's say you are a journalist, you could be eligible for I visa for the purpose of journalism. That is different, which is a non-immigrant visa, which is temporary. You come here for the certain time, do the reportings and stay here few years and can be renewed. So that's one. But when I say extraordinary EB1A, US system has created types of visa for successful people in their country. It could be in any country. And the US wants them here in the US so they can contribute in the art, economy, science, technology, business, sports, everywhere. So they can file for themselves. No employer needed. All you have to prove is that you have been top in your field, in your area, have done a lot of work. Could be journalism, could be entertainment, could be science, could be technology, could be sports, in any area. So the government has done this, government allows those people to stay here, and it has happened in the past. For example, let's say ex-First Lady Melania Trump was under EB1 in the US. Same way, a lot of scientists, technology people, a lot of entertainment, business, they all are exploring this option. And I know personally a lot of people are taking advantage of this benefit from Bangladesh as well.
What kind of documents we need to apply for this kind of visa?
Perfect. Remember, this is only for certain people who have achieved higher recognition in the field. And those people have to prove, they have been widely known. They have contributed significantly in a specific area. let's talk about in sports. I'm giving an example for a sports field.
Sure.
Let's say a cricketer, for example. I'm just giving you an example. Has played for the national team or football team, national player team, have participated in national games outside and inside the country, and they have been published in national level of newspaper, and public recognize them as like celebrity type of status when they are doing so good, and they have contributed significantly in the sports in the country, and they are very successful in their field. So there are documentation to prove these things. Maybe they have been invited as a chief guest. They are in widely newspaper publication. They have contributed significantly for the national team or the local team, all these things. They have been, if let's say, writer or critics. They have been judged for the others' book reviews and commentaries, researchers. So there are several ways of proving that. The bottom line is, the main thing is, they are very successful in their own field, and those people can be eligible for a U.S. Residency, and the government welcomes them because they will be contributing to the U.S. economy one way or the other way.
I want to add something. If they need to be approved by the government of USA, is there any need for any kind of invitation letter or anything else?
Well, technically, you don't need an invitation letter. Okay, so, if let's say, for example, let's talk about you. You are a very, let's say you are a very known journalist, for example, and you have been in the industry for a long time, for example, and you are in Bangladesh. Let's say if you want to, I want to explore my opportunity in the US and I want to move there on a permanent basis. So you can actually apply from Bangladesh. You don't have to come here.
Okay.
So you don't even need to visa to come here. And once this is approved from here, the US, you can get the interview at the US Embassy. And my experience is that we have done that in the past. But in the last couple of years during COVID and all these things, the embassy has been very slow. Particularly US Embassy in Bangladesh has been very slow, scheduling interviews, appointments, all these things that we have experienced and a lot of people have experienced. That also applies in India too. India has also the same problem, and in other countries. So
now we're going to talk about business visa. I want to ask you that what is the exact definition of business visa?
You're talking about business means, let's say, every time someone comes to the US, there are two types of visas they give out. One is recreation and visit. And there is for business purpose, like having business meetings, opening a business office here, doing some one time like buying or selling. It's got B1 and B2. These are tourism, and sometimes, most of the time, they give you B1, B2 together for both, includes both. But you can also have B1 as part of the business visas. So you can open a bank account here. You can, as I said, hold meeting, open office. You cannot work when you come in here. You cannot get salary. But other than that, it should allow you to travel, conduct meetings, explore your business opportunities. That is fine within this visa.
So this is business visa. And what is business investment visa?
Oh, you're talking about the EB-5. Well, there are two ways of doing it. Investment visa is every time someone wants to invest in the United States. There are three types of visas. EB-5 is direct green card path. So they can apply directly green card. If they invest certain amount of money in the US, there are two ways of investing. One is through a regional center. There are more than 1,000 regional centers approved by the government who are private investment. So you would be investing in those business $800,000+, and then your family gets green card, and eventually you get the money back if the business is good. But there are also let's say if you want to do, I want to open a garment store in in America, for example, like, you have garment, you have a branch in garment or travel agency. So I want to invest $1 million plus, and then open my own business, employ 10 plus people. I want to do good business. So that also gives you green card for you and your family by investing money in the US, generating employment and contributing in the economy. So that's another way of getting it done.
Okay,
But one more thing in the when you say investment, there is a treaty U.S. has with Bangladesh. I think it's 1971 or 72. That's called E2 visa. In South Asia, only two countries has this E2 visa. One is Pakistan, another is Bangladesh, and no other countries. For example, if you want to come to the US, okay, I want to invest $50,000, $60,000, $100,000. I want to do this business. So you can actually get E2 visa. You're not going to get a green card from this, but it is renewed every 2 years. You or your family can live here as long as the business goes on. So that's also E2 treaty visa, but that doesn't apply to everybody, every other country. So this based on the treaties between the US and the other countries.
If I talk about our Bangladeshi people, what are the benefits from the business investment visa for them?
Well, you see, the only benefit for EB-5 would be they get to be a permanent residence holder in the US. Means after 4 years and 9 months, they can all file US citizenship. As I said, before 2021, about 11,000 Bangladeshi nationals were filing US citizenship. Means
it's a huge number.
Correct. This path opens up for everybody under EB-5, and then they can also generate business revenue, make more money, and expand their business internationally.
Okay, so now let's talk about some work visas. Who can apply for a work visa?
Well, anyone can actually apply for a work visa. Mostly there are skilled work visas, there are unskilled work visas. The skill means EB-1 was part of the skills because they're top of the line in their field. If you have a master's degree, bachelor degree, and you have U.S. employer, anyone can listen. I need this person to work for me, so I want to hire him. That can be done. It happens all the time. And most of the student who come here, they finish their bachelor or master in the U.S. After that, they get OPT, STEM. They work for a year or two. Within that time, some companies file for them. That's skilled, but there is also unskilled. These are all green card I'm talking about. There are H1 and all this other work is there, but these are just permanent visa, permanent residence card giving visas I'm talking about. But there are also one experience I've had, some students who had from Bangladesh who had worked for a restaurant in Bangladesh before, and then they were good at making their some great Bengali sweet. One restaurant needed employee here, so they wanted to sponsor them, and they filed them, and they had a green card. They are working for this restaurant, Bengali restaurant here, just fine. So this is not one way. There are several ways of doing it. There are temporary work visas, there are permanent work visas, there are skilled work visas, there are unskilled work visas. So each category is different. But I would be happy to, if you have a specific question about a specific categories, subcategories, I would be happy to go.
If I ask, don't take it otherwise, because you used a term called unskilled people. Unskilled people can apply for it as well. How can this happen?
Okay, all right, that's fair. That's a good question. It happens all the time. Let's say someone did not have an education. I'm just giving an example. Someone in Dhaka doesn't have an education, but somehow a department store or grocery store, a big one, the one that actually needs employee. Listen, I need employees in my store. I can't find employees who can be, who can work, willing, able, skilled. Skilled means who can work. So I want to sponsor this storage guy or a storekeeper or stacking merchandise in and out, loading, unloading, all these things. So they can go to the Department of Labor. They can apply for foreign employees if no U.S. employees are working for that job, and then employer needs an employee, so they can come in once the Department of Labor approves. And it happens a lot. It happens every day.
there is so many, maybe more than 100,000 or more than that number. So many people wants to go to USA for permanent, for good. They want to stay there. Maybe after going there, they want to start education or their job or anything. So what kind of activities or what kind of documents they need?
Everybody wants to come here, and that's fine. And there, as today's market, there is also shortage of employees in the country here in the U.S. A lot of employers are paying more for the same job. Not people who don't want to work after the COVID lockdown, this and that. It's kind of like change in feelings or attitude or whatever it is. So, but you see, every category has certain requirements.
Yes.
So if this is EB-1A, they have a different requirement. Is EB-5, they have a requirement of investing and generating employee. If it is unskilled people, U.S. employer is the one that wants to bring them here, not the employee. If I don't have the need for an employee, I can't bring them. So it's based on business need. A restaurant, a grocery store, a supermarket, or any of these companies can hire employees, and if they can't find here, they have to bring somewhere outside of the country.
Yes. Can any kind of Bangladeshi people can apply for immigrant visa without investing any kind of money in USA?
Either employer has to file, or the family member of them, their family member has to file, which is a family visa. Or they have to get some kind of temporary work visa like H1, O, J, I, but they do not apply every person. Certain qualified people fall under certain visas. So yes, they have to find the employer. You see, these policies are created to give benefit to the family members in the US and to the employers in the US. So the employees are brought in. The family members are brought in by sponsoring by family member and sponsoring by the businesses.
Thank you. Is there any kind of scheme for the students who are under 18 years old?
Well, they can go to school. 18 years old student can enroll in the school here, and they are probably going to the high school, I believe, because they are 18 years old, and school file I-20, and service it has happened. We have done that. The students can obtain high school education in the US. That's absolutely okay.
So I need some kind of sponsorship for applying an immigrant visa.
Oh yes, sponsorship is, as I said, through the employer.
So is it mandatory or necessary?
Well, the thing is, I think I also said it immediately before. If you are coming to the US for one purpose, that purpose has to be met. Let's say for EB-1A, there is no sponsors needed, but you do have to show your intention to work in the similar field. Let's say you are a very known journalist back in your country, but when you come here, you're not going to be working as a restaurant serving food. That's a different visa for that.
Yes.
You see. So you just have to prove at the time of the coming, okay, I'm going to continue my journalism or some kind of the same field. That you have to show at the time of entering the US or filing. Same way, sponsor means like if the student is here, employer is going to sponsor for them. If the families are here or even in Bangladesh, the family member is going to sponsor, okay, this is my wife, this is my child, this is my father. I want to bring them to live with me. So sponsorship is something, it's under categories, it happens. And you can also self-sponsor. EB-1A is a self-sponsor. You don't need a sponsor.
Okay, I must say maybe already you have to handle a different kind of cases regarding this kind of immigration. What are the most common types of immigration cases that you handled already?
Well, our office has been more than 15 years. We have been doing constantly, and we have handled all kind of cases. Very, very renowned successful businessmen, individuals, to people who come through the border, crossing the border without any documentations. They are detained, they are caught in, and we have to represent them in the court, get the bond, get them out, and then they fight their case. And then once they are approved, they can bring their family also. So this is a wide range of cases we have done. Pretty much everything that happens in immigration, we have had a chance to do it.
So how long does it typically take to obtain a green card?
Every category has their own timeline and processing timeline. So, but there are certain categories that we can pay extra money to the government. A decision can come about 15 days. But remember, it does not apply to every application. Only some employment-based, self-sponsoring, EB-1, EB-2, EB-3, EB-4, EB-5, that we can do employment. But the family, we cannot do it. Asylum-related, you cannot do it. Through other U visa, other W visas, all these things, you cannot do this. But yes, every visa has a timeline, and it changes every month because the more applications are submitted, the longer USCIS takes. So depending on their workload, the processing time changes every month, and the visa bulletin also changes every month.
So how do I know if I'm eligible for applying for citizenship in USA?
Okay, so first of all, you can't just directly apply for citizenship. You have to have a green card at least 5 years, right? So let's talk about getting a green card first.
Yes.
So you have to get a green card first and then maintain your residency at least 30 months in the US after getting green card in the last 5 years. So you pay taxes. You become a citizen, kind of citizen. You see, green card gives a lot of rights, duties, and everything except boarding and working for the federal government. Then there are a few things. Other than that, you get all these benefits and rights that you have as a green card holder. After about 5 years, you can apply for citizenship. Once you become a U.S. citizen, you have no restriction. You are as equal to as anybody else in this country, legally speaking. You have all the rights and duties. So to get the green card, though, which is the first step, with the family can sponsor, which have been happening. Right now, I think last year alone, about 6,000 people, family sponsor, came from Bangladesh. Citizens, fathers, mother, wife, children below 21 years. You can also sponsor for brother and sister, but the waiting period is very long. The people who sponsored 10, 15 years ago, their brothers and sisters are coming to the US today. Same way with the employment, EB-1, EB-2, EB-3, EB-4, EB-5 investment, they will all give you green card. Once you get the green card, 5 years after that, you can become citizen.
So then what are the laws that I have to obey, I have to follow after getting my citizenship or green card?
It's like everything I follow, everybody has to follow. Means same as in Bangladesh. You see, once you become a citizen, the law applies everybody, everywhere in the same way. It's a country's law. Immigration laws are not applicable once you become a citizen because you're not an immigrant anymore. You become a U.S. citizen. But there are taxes you have to pay. There's crime-related thing, you don't want to do this. If you want to, criminal-related thing, you don't want to do any of those things. There are consequences if people end up doing those things. So all those laws should apply everyone in the same way. That's the beauty about this country. Everyone is treated equally in the eyes of the law. That's what we believe in, and that happens most of the time.
So in that case, what are the consequences of overstaying a visa?
There are, let's say, if someone is traveling to this country on a B1, B2 visa or J visa or any visa, you see they are for a limited time. B1, B2, every time they enter, maximum is 6 months, maximum at one time. They can file an extension, but unless they file it and it's approved, they are allowed to stay for 6 months. Let's say someone stays 6 months overseas. The rule is that you overstay by more than 6 months. Let's say you are allowed to stay for 6 months and then you overstay by 180 days or more. Then you are barred from entering the US next time for about 3 years. If you overstay that visa more than 1 year, you cannot come back for a whole 10 years.
So it's kind of a blacklist?
Well, there is a bar. That means if you enter, they will not let you enter.
Okay.
Kind of, yes. But there are ways you can file waiver, but it's very complicated process. The best advice is to try to not overstay your visa when you can. Even let's say if you have that situation, anybody who is here, they should be talking to an attorney here. Because any attorney, that's fine. They will tell you what to do and how to do it.
What are the consequences of overstaying and as well entering the United States illegally?
There are so many people entering through the southern border of the United States.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, Bangladesh is also in the list. There are so many people from Bangladesh coming through the southern border, and they are apprehended. They are put in a removal proceeding. As you know, I think every year more than few hundred people are seeking asylum from Bangladesh, whether defensive or affirmative. Means the people who come through the border, and sometimes people who come through visa also do that because of these laws. That laws allow for certain individuals to seek asylum, and the government put them in the removal proceeding after whether they are overstay, or they can proactively ask for asylum too. And the people who enter through the border, they are already, when they are caught, they are put in detention center, and they are interviewed there. Why you can't go back to your country? Why you came in here? Kind of thing. And then they are presented before the court. So they make their case there. If the judge believes them, they get approved. If the judge doesn't believe them, they get denied. If they are denied, they are sent back to their own country. So if the judge agrees, after a certain time, they can file green card, they can bring their family members. Eventually, they get citizen if they can pass the test for citizenship, this and that. So they blend in the main system. Yes, nobody encourages people coming through the border illegally. I wouldn't do that. Undocumented, yes. Try to find the right channel because this is too dangerous, too risky, and also not legal. But even if you do, and let's say you are already here, they should be talking to a lawyer to see what they can do and what option they have, how they can get the right information.
So in that case, people who once got punished for entering in USA illegally, the man after some years of this kind of incidents, can he or she again apply for visa?
If someone enter illegally through the border, and by the way, this happens all Southeast China, India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Nepal, I don't think it's Bhutan, everywhere, South America, Africa,
Mexico.
And even so it happens a lot, every day. So happening. So when they come in, they have certain claim. If they are eligible, they will be kept in here. You see, they have to, if they have any claim. So the officers interview them, they have to present their case, and they have to face the judge. Once the judge agrees with them, and they will be getting a status, eventually get a green card here. They will be part of the green card holders. So,
thank you, sir. Can you help me appeal a decision by USCIS or Immigration Court?
Yes, you can. You are eligible most of the time. But remember, not every decision is winnable. You know, you have to have some requirement. We can appeal. Appealing is your rights, or motion to reopen, reconsider, appeal, depending on which application is that. Certain applications may not be eligible, but mostly they are. So I think you should speak with an attorney whether you have that rights or not, and what documents you need.
So what is an immigration bond and how does it work?
If the government finds someone undocumented here in this country and they want to remove that person out of the country, so, and they present before the either immigration officer, deportation officer, or the immigration judge will say, okay, I will release you, but you have to put some money bond so you can show up tomorrow. So you don't run away. So they set up money. based on that particular person's association, families, other ties, the work, all these things. So if the judge agrees to an amount or the officers agree to an amount and they post that money, and the person can be out and they can fight for their case while they are out. Let's say if the case is approved, then they can get their bond back.
So, what options are available for undocumented immigrants who have been in the USA for a long, long time?
This is a very case specific. There are certain options, but then they have to be eligible for that. For example, cancellation is one, filing through a family member is one, if they entered proper ways. Even if they enter EWI, there will be a waiver after certain situation, 601A. So this is a very specific case. Yes, there are options available, but they should be speaking with an attorney who can understand and hear their whole history, how they came in, what benefit they can possibly be eligible for. Then they can proceed accordingly.
After the COVID-19, there is a lot of changes all over the world, including political, social, economical aspects. So, how does the current political climate impact the immigration systems?
What happened during this COVID and from the last administration in the US, the policy have changed in a negative way so much. As you know, immigration policy is getting harder and tougher every year as we move forward. Even the people who had more expectation from the current administrations, they haven't felt that yet. And these economy, COVID, a lot of factoring in this immigration policies, delay in processing, delays in interviews and approved petitions. Not a lot of immigrants were allowed in 2021 and 2020, even 2022, part of that. Work from home culture for the government and the individuals have impacted so much. So yes, aside from the government policies not being very pro-immigrants, there are COVID-related policies still, as of now, has been causing delays.
Thank you. So can I still work in the USA while my immigration case is pending?
If you have a work permit, yes, you can. You can actually apply for a work permit while your immigration case is pending.
Is there any way to expedite an immigration case?
Well, it depends on. There are circumstances. If there are emergency, if there is, medical, health, family, job related thing, it may be. Again, each case is different. So it depends on which case we are trying to expedite here. If it is in the court, there are certain requirements. And then to answer that question, yes, may be eligible, but talk to an attorney. I'm sure your attorney would be able to answer and explain the situation where this can be done.
So what's your advice for people of Bangladesh who wants to go to USA for good? They want to stay, they want to work or study or any kind of purpose?
I have dealt with all kind of people from Bangladesh in the US and in Bangladesh as well, from businessmen to politicians to students to workers to the people who even have been detained and entered without inspection through the border. So I have had all types of people, and there are certain benefits that apply to them. If they have any plans for their family, for their children, they can explore. There are several ways of coming in here legally, staying here for a longer time, do business here a longer time, or go to school here. But then, they should consult and do their own research a little bit before they even make any plans.
Exactly. In our country or maybe in other country as well, there are so many people doesn't know how to apply visa properly, how to apply for a specific kind of immigration visas. So what's your advice regarding this?
Well, you asked a very good question. You see, the problem is I have been approached by some people from your country who are already here for many years. And when I listened to their history of work and they found out so late Then they told me, oh, I wish I should have met you before so we could apply under this category, not this category. It has happened. It continues to happen. You see, when people do not get the right information, this is when they end up making wrong choice. There are two ways of knowing it. Either you consult a professional experts or do your own research. So without these two things, I don't know who is going to guide you the right way.
That you said before that family members can sponsor each other for immigration purpose. So is there any option that a friend can help another friend by sponsoring the funds?
They can help, but legally, let's say if you want to bring, let's say, your husband or children below 21 years, it's your right. When you file and USCIS approves here, they have to come in here. That's as if you're right. But if I want to invite a friend in a business B1, B2 visa, I can send a letter, but it's up to the government whether they want to give it or not. I can request, send a letter, but then that doesn't mean anything. You see, the government may not give the visa with a letter. So it all depends on the purpose. Mostly, if you are talking about B1, B2 visas, I think that's what it applies to mostly. But the friends cannot sponsor for a green card. It's only a sponsor for 10 years.
Yes. So thank you so much, sir. And today, through today's show, we just knew a lot of things that was unknown to me and maybe for our audience. So thank you so much for this kinds of valuable information.
Well, thank you and thank your team for this remotely trying to connect with this video. And I hope your audience can take some advantage from the information I have given. And before they make any decision, I advise them to talk to someone who knows before they make a decision. So it's easier for them.
This kind of condition, the proper knowledge or proper information is the most valuable thing in this current situation for Bangladeshis as well as any other people from any other country. So thank you once again very much.
You are welcome and thank you guys.
প্রিয় দর্শক, নিশ্চয়ই আমাদের আজকের শোটা আপনারা সবাই এনজয় করেছেন। যেমনটা আমরা আমাদের গেস্টের সাথে বলছিলাম যে বর্তমান সময়ের প্রেক্ষাপটে যদি আমরা বলি যে প্রপার ইনফরমেশন, সঠিক নলেজ, সঠিক তথ্যটাই আসলে সবচাইতে ভ্যালুয়েবল জিনিস। যারা বাইরের দেশে যেতে চান, বিভিন্ন ক্ষেত্রে নানা ধরনের সমস্যা, নানা ধরনের বিড়ম্বনার মুখোমুখি হতে হয়, সেইটা যেন না হতে হয় সেটার প্রয়াসেই আমাদের এই আয়োজন। নিশ্চয়ই আগামী পর্বে নতুন কোনো বিষয় নিয়ে নতুন আরেকজন অতিথি এবং বিশেষজ্ঞকে সাথে নিয়ে হাজির হয়ে যাব আপনাদের সামনে। সে পর্যন্ত সবাই ভালো থাকুন, RTV সাথে থাকুন।